Hey, welcome to Art with Ian. Today we're talking about drawing a steelhead trout. That's coming up next. Okay, so the way I like to approach drawing steelhead, or anything for that matter, is by breaking the subject down into one of three basic shapes. So you can see here I have the fish broken down into shapes that represent the basic anatomy. We have the body, the dorsal fin, the adipose fin, the caudal fin, the peduncle, the anal fin, the pelvic fin, the pectoral fin, the eye, the mouth, and the gill cover. Each of these parts is represented using one of three basic shapes. The circle can be stretched to become an ellipse, the square can be stretched to become a rectangle, and the triangle doesn't take on a new name when you stretch it, so I just like to think of it as an elongated or imperfect triangle. As you can see here, each of the parts are represented with one of those three basic shapes. Some are stretched to better accommodate the shape they represent. I also find it helpful to mark a center line for placing the dorsal fin. You can see that the point where the front of the fin meets the body is right around the center. So with the center line in place, it's easier to see what parts belong to the front half of the fish and which ones belong on the back half. Once you've got everything broken down into their most basic shapes, you've finished the first and most important step of this process. Now it's time to start a refined sketch. All your proportions should feel right at this point, but if they don't, it's simple enough to make adjustments. This is exactly why we've been working with basic shapes up until now. You can see that as I draw, I'm staying really loose with my strokes. I'm just finding a flow, basically. I want to refine the shapes into something more organic and not those stiff ones that I started out with. And if you haven't been looking at a reference up until now, this would be the time to do that, because you're going to want to get all your subtle nuances correct. And for example, with this one, the dorsal and caudal fins on the steelhead are notably sharper than those fins on a rainbow trout. So it's important to double check a reference and make sure you're getting the nuances of your subject correct. At this point, it's time to start tying your drawing down. This is the last step where you clean up your refined sketch into the actual drawing, and you're going to add in your details. You can see that I've taken my brush size, I've brought it down a little bit smaller, and I'm taking a lot more care with my lines. Now, during that previous sketching phase, I made my decisions, so now it's not so much decision making, it's more cleaning up and finalizing those decisions into a more refined drawing. That said, it doesn't mean you don't have the option to continue to manipulate. So if you see a line that you thought you liked and you want to change it, by all means still change it. But this is the phase where you should be beyond most of those decisions now. This is a phase where you're getting your presentation piece starting to happen. You're really refining it down now. So you can see I add in a little bit more of the texture, those cool spots on the back of the fish and stuff like that. I didn't get into drawing scales here because that would have taken the drawing to a whole different level, really. But that brings us to my three-step system. The way that I went about this whole entire thing is a three-step system. The first step, simplify down to the most basic shapes, i.e. circles, squares, triangles. Step 2, refine those shapes into basics, like a basic sketch, paying attention to the nuances that make the subject unique. And step 3, do a refined drawing of your sketch and add in any final details and bring it up to that final look that you want for presentation. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, ring the bell for notifications of future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.